All right, let's bring the meeting to order. So we are saluting the flag.
Yeah, we should probably do that first.
Over there still.
Yes, it's over there.
I pledge allegiance
To
to
the
the flag
of the United
United States of America,
and
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So we have all members present except for Annie, who is attending remote, and Vanessa, who is absent for the evening. She has a prior engagement that did not. So next on the agenda is approval of the April 14th minutes. Did anybody get a chance to look at them or have any issues, or did you look at them and have any issues with what's there?
Yes, I saw them, no issues.
And
Annie, I'll move to accept.
okay,
I'll second it.
okay.
Oh, dear, do we have a?
Do we have a secretary?
Actually, that's on one of the agendas.
Right,
so-
but for this meeting?
Oh, for this meeting, I'll get it taken care of.
Okay.
Okay, so Annie, motion, and Maura. Motion, second. All right. So we will be,
Do we vote?
oh, I'm sorry, I
Do.
forgot the vote. All right, Christine. Aye.
Oh, we have to do it one at a time?
Oh, I just
Oh,
usually
oh.
went right around the
Oh,
room.
Okay. I
You
thought we-
pretty much have to because I'm remote. Sorry.
Okay,
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes, okay, unanimous. By attendance, by attendees. Okay, so now the next on the agenda is Matt. He is going to review the answers from superintendent and the administration for the number of answers that were submitted. While he's doing this, he's going to show us the links within that document, and at the end of that, if anybody's in the document and the links are not working, we'll take a couple minutes and get that figured out for you. Okay? I'm moving.
Oh, don't trip on that. Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Matt Angel. I'm the business administrator. And right now we're waiting for the projector to load up. You can find this document in your budget committee drive. So it's going to be on your Google Drive. You click on your shared folders and then budget committee, and then it's going to be in your planning for fiscal year 22-23 folder. And right now you can see Annie and Cheryl are in. All right. These are the questions that we received from the budget committee. And so what we're doing is we're presenting it first. I'm going to read off the question and then I'm going to read off the answer to each of the questions. The first question is please give a detailed account of the COVID-19 one-time expenses and one-time federal and state revenues received and expended and any still to be received for both fiscal years 2021 and 21-22. Please identify if there were any one-time expenses not reimbursed and paid with general operating budget. The answer is the ESSER 2 and ARP ESSER 3 grant amounts are listed in the document linked here. So if you had the Google Drive, you can click on the link and then open the Google Excel or the Google spreadsheet, and it's listing out every single COVID grant. So these are the name of the grants right here in this left-hand column, the date that we received it, the amount of the grant, and where the status of where we are with the grant. Okay. If you want to look at the detailed expenditures, you just click on each of the tabs and you can go back. You can see Like the first one, we spent money on a survey, some stipends, and then technology. Okay. All the tabs are listed across the bottom of the page. And if you want to go back, you just click on the first one. Okay.
Cheryl?
Do I have to turn this on?
I believe it's already turned on.
Can you hear me? No?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I've been denied access to that.
You have.
Yeah, it said request sent access denied.
Okay.
So
I will make sure that you have access to that. That is crazy. Okay.
Yeah, I had that same thing that I had to request access.
could I also ask
Yeah.
if you could explain acronyms? I guess the easy acronyms. Just say what they.
Well, each of the acronyms are part of, there's usually federal legislation. I can't list off half the acronyms. I'm sorry. We just call them by their acronyms. And, okay. So can you see if you have access to it now?
I do.
I do.
Okay. All right. Back onto the answers. One-time costs. We're hoping that the pandemic related costs are one time only. We receive federal grants for all of our costs except for the SBSRF grant. For that grant, we only receive 79.41% of the total expenditures. Since the pandemic was not contemplated when creating the budget, costs associated with the pandemic cannot be confused with one-time costs for the default budget pursuant to RSA 40:13, Roman numeral 9B. Okay. The next question is about COVID-19 planning future costs. Please detail the plans to evaluate and meet academic and SEL needs generated by COVID-19. The plans to meet those needs and the sources of funds in the budget from the state and federal COVID-19 specific revenues. The answer is, we are currently devising a plan based upon survey responses for our ARP ESSER 3 funds, which include academic and SEL needs. The state required us to submit a plan to them, and it's posted on our website linked here. So if you click on that, it brings you to the district's website. And this is everything that we're trying to do for these funds.
SEL,
Social emotional learning.
Yes, social and emotional learning. I'm sorry, we repeated the same acronym. So ESSER 1, I'm sorry, the grant expiration dates are listed below. ESSER 1 is on September 30th of 2022. ESSER 2 is on September 30th of 2023. The ARP ESSER 3 grant is September 30th of 24. The Systems of Care grant is August 30th of 2024. Now, the Systems of Care grant, this is the only grant that's not related to COVID. It's a grant opportunity that came to us from the New Hampshire Department of Education related to social, emotional, and learning needs, and thus is listed here. Okay.
Matt, question? Without having a chance to look at the details on the charts and graphs and everything that you gave us before, are the amounts of those ESSER, those 2022 and 2023 and all those, are the total amounts of those grants listed?
So if we go back to this spreadsheet right here, each of the grants are right here.
Okay,
The
okay,
only one I don't think that's on this is the Systems of Care grant,
yeah,
because it's not a COVID grant. Okay.
okay.
And then, so you have the amount of the grant award. All right. And then if you click on it, on the link, you get the, you get a detailed listing of what we spent the funds.
Ah,
Okay.
great job, by the way, in putting all those together, Matt.
Patty Haynes did this.
Did she? Well,
Yeah.
good job, Patty.
Okay. The next question is planning new intervention program. Please identify the budget codes and detail budget expenses planned for the regular non-COVID-19 related new intervention staffing, both teachers and paras, and related supplies and costs. How many at each grade level? I'm sorry, each school and grade level. The answer is the general ledger account codes are not specific enough to identify the intervention program separate from other costs. Intervention teachers are commingled with teachers and intervention paras are commingled with paras. Instead, we can provide budget information on a position level. The following positions are covered in the intervention program approved by the board during the reorganization. We have 6 teachers, 1 math, 1 reading per school, Bakey and Memorial, and the middle school covering grades K through 8. We have 11 paras, 5 Bakey, 3 Memorial, and 3 middle school. The total budget cost is approximately $930,000.
Okay, great.
Okay. The next one is capital improvement plans. Please share capital improvement plans now approved. Please detail capital expenses over the past year and sources of funds for each. And the answer is the capital plans are now approved can be found on the district's website linked here. So if you go to that link, you'll see at the bottom here, the 2 capital improvement plans that have been previously approved. We're working on one right now. I presented to the facilities committee last Wednesday, and it's going to be going to the school board as part of our strategic plan in the near future.
Why are they overlapping?
Sorry?
Why are the years overlapping?
Okay, let me go back. So basically, these are 5-year plans. This one here was done in 2017 for these years. This one here was done in 2019 for 2020 to 2025. And so basically all they are is every year you're going to have an overlapping because it's going to show the need. And then over here, what year we're anticipating incurring the expenditure.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I'm saying here, we're going to present the current year completed district information, document to the facilities committee and the school board at a future meeting. The next question is gifted and talented enrichment. The question is, what is the place or plan to address needs and opportunities for our gifted and talented students? What budget is set aside for staffing and supplies? The answer is the state of New Hampshire does not require or provide the identification of gifted and talented students. We are continuously working to meet the needs of all students by improving our programming to include varied enrichment learning opportunities in all areas. The next one is new.
Question?
Fair.
Just, so because it's not required by the state, we have no inclination or compulsion to break that out and show that as a cost center or a specific.
Well, from what I understand, if we did, you would essentially be identifying a handful of students.
How so?
But they got rid of it though, I thought. We're talking about the enrichment program. I don't know if there's something else, but the
No.
enrichment program.
We have an enrichment
Talented.
program, but we
Yeah.
don't have a gifted and talented.
Okay, that's something different.
Yes. So gifted and talented is more like a special education program, from what I understand, and New Hampshire doesn't recognize it. So it's not like we can budget for it because it's not identified. Okay. So kids that would normally fall into that program would get special services under a different program. Okay. We are trying to make sure that that we provide the best answer is providing enrichment learning opportunities for those children. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. The next question is new staff positions created. What new staff positions have been created and filled in the past year, and at what salary? Please include job descriptions. Positions are modified annually to deal with the current curriculum needs, which may modify an existing position or transfer the position from one need to another. Other than the standard teacher job description, none of the job descriptions noted below have been presented to the Personnel Committee or to the school board for approval. The generic teacher's job description is linked here. And this is it. I'm curious to see if you have a error. Let me see if I can share it. Okay, so here's the job description. Listed below are all the positions that affect the operating budget. The first one is the Director of Academic Intervention, Assessment and Accountability for $107,154. This was not created, just rearranged, paid in part by grant funds and the Title I coordinator position. The second one is Special Education Building Coordinator at Bakey for $51,824, paid for by cutting the math admin at the high school. The next one is the Special Education Social Worker for the district-wide for $51,824. This is new and it's need-based per an IEP. The next one is Applied Math at the middle school. It's $64,827. This was added due to enrollments. The next one is Applied Sciences at the middle school. This is $63,972. Again, this is added due to enrollments. The last one is the Speech and Language Assistant. Excuse me, $36,153. It was eliminated. We eliminated a part-time speech and language pathologist position and added a full-time assistant to provide more services per student's IEPs.
Matt, a quick question. This is Annie. The admin, the first one that you had on there, you said is funded by grant money. Which grant money is that funds it?
Oh, the first one?
Yeah.
They would be pretty much all the title grants. So Title I, which is reading and math specialist. I mean, reading and math. Oh, the word is getting away from me, but it's a Title I's a reading and math program.
Right. I understand the reading. I understand the Title I, but it says grant funds and Title I. So I was wondering if there's grant funds that are funding this position in addition to the Title I.
Yeah, so they're working on a whole bunch of federal grants. So they operate a whole bunch of federal grants and oversee them and making sure that they're following the they're doing a lot of compliance requirements on each of the federal grants. So so we can charge that particular person's to that particular program and seek reimbursement. I don't have off the top of my head which programs that they're being charged against, but I can provide that to you.
It'd be great to know what the difference is between the Title I and the grant funds from other sources so that we know in the future what the gap will be when the grant funds run out.
Well, basically, there won't be any grant funds that run out because it's included as part of the grant amount. So when I present the operating budget, it's going to include their salary related to the grants. And we approve that as part of the operating budget that goes before the taxpayers.
I understand. I'm talking about after 2024, in the future, we will have added costs. I just want to know how much they are.
Oh, this is not going to get added to the operating budget in the future. This is an ongoing grant management position.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for asking it that way because that just for everyone else, there's a clear distinction in what she said. Normally, when you have a grant position, there's an expectation that you roll that position into the operating budget. And in this particular case, there is no expectation for that position.
Hey, is your question satisfied? Annie? Hello?
Annie, can you hear Jim?
I couldn't hear him. Was he asked if I was happy? I'm happy with that answer. Yeah. Thank you. And thanks for answering it, Matt.
A question, Matt?
Yeah, yes.
On that same position, is that an administrative position or teacher position?
It's an SAU position. It's not an administrator's position.
What is the distinction?
I'm an administrator, so they're not at my level. So they'd be basically, they're seen as part of the administrative team. However, they're not part of the management team. They're part of the management team, but not really. Yeah, they know that.
Clear as mud.
So you said that these positions are all, the job descriptions are teacher. So I'm wondering how you come to a salary, what a salary would be appropriate for that position. It doesn't sound like it is a teacher position?
No, it's a non-union position. So, okay. So there are, let's talk about the different bargaining groups, just to kind of clarify. You have the teachers union, you have the para and support staff union, then you have the administrators union, and then you have everyone else. Everyone else would include the superintendent, SAU administrators such as myself, all the SAU employees, and the facilities employees. Okay.
So if there's no job description, that's what I'm wondering, because you said all these positions listed here go by the teacher job description. You're
No,
telling me this is.
that's not what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said, other than the standard teacher job descriptions, none of the job descriptions noted below have been presented to the personnel committee or the school board for approval.
So is there a plan to do that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one more question? What's applied math and applied science?
We just needed a math teacher and a science teacher for the middle school because of enrollments.
Okay.
I see them as
Okay.
equal. Math and science teachers. I'm sure they're not. I'm sure they're very specialized positions. Okay. All right. The next question dealt with enrollment, and I'm sorry about my columns. For some reason, the columns got shrunk. Yeah, let me try to, I don't know if I can expand them really quick. Oh, okay. I'm going to undo that. Yeah. All right. So basically the question is what are the October 1st enrollments per school? What are the percentages and number breakdowns for each of the 3 towns? Here are the answers. And this is for the October 1st, 2021 enrollments per school by town as follows. For Bakey Elementary, Kingston has 206 students, which represents 52.02%. Newton has 109 students, which represents 47.98%. The total for Bakey is 396 students. Memorial Elementary has 142 students from Kingston, or 55.47%. Newton has 114 students, or 44.53%. Total is 256 students. The middle school is 117 students from Kingston, which represents 57.64%. Newton is 86 students, or 42.36%, with a total of 203. The high school has 201 students from Kingston at 35.58%, 186 students or 32.92% from Newton, 178 students or 31.5% from Fremont, with a total of 565. District-wide, we have 666 students from Kingston, 576 students from Newton, 178 students from Fremont, and the total is 1,420.
Matt, I was just doing some quick math there. It looks like 1,242 students are from Newton and Kingston. And therefore, if I take the Newton number, it looks like the percentages have continued to skew a little bit towards Newton growing and Kingston shrinking, 46% versus 54%. I'd like to verify if that's correct. And if that's the case, then we can expect probably the tax impact to skew a little bit too.
Okay, so that's correct. But the allocation between Kingston and Newton has a two-factor portion to it. The first one is a capital factor, which is based upon some older head counts. And then there's the newer factor, which is the operating budget factors between the two towns. And that's based upon this one here. So there's an apportionment spreadsheet that I get from the state that details out all those pieces of information, but this is a great starting point.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Cheryl.
Can you tell us what the last year's enrollment was?
I cannot at this, I don't have access to the database. You can, however, find it on the state's website. The October 1st numbers, if you go onto education.nh.gov and go in the search there and you ask for enrollment counts, it'll bring you up to a website that has historical records going back years, if not decades.
Do you
Okay.
know if it's going up or down or level?
I think it's trending down.
Thank you.
Okay.
My recollection, and see if anybody else remembers this, is that it was about 1450 last year and expected to be about 1550 this year when we were doing our budget planning last year. So this is quite a bit below what was expected.
I believe she's correct. All right, the next question is master plans. The question is enrollments for the middle school and high with master plans included or including all classes. Please be specific about the time spent in each class, number of students, and the number of times/week schedule to meet. Okay. So this is kind of a long answer. The master schedule, this is for just the high school. The master schedule with the data on class caps and how many students are in each section in the schedule that can be viewed here. So let's see, let me click on this and let me make sure it's, can you open this?
Let me see.
Okay, Cheryl said yes.
Yep.
Okay, so in this, it has each department, stack and read off of this very well. Like the first one there is art. It has 26 students in it. Okay, going all the way to the right.
Document.
Sorry?
That's not the document that was there when I clicked.
Oh, it's not?
No,
Interesting.
First document I got.
it is. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm on the wrong here.
Yeah. it
Oh, yeah, I was on the wrong here. We're on, this is high school master schedule?
This is the high school.
Okay, sorry. I was on the, another.
Okay, so this has each of the classes, the class size, and the period in which it's being run. Okay. With our current bell schedule, click here. Yeah, let me make sure this is shared.
Got it.
Okay, so this is the bell schedule. let's see. The classes 2021-22 bell schedule meet for 240 minutes on a 6-day cycle, and then 3 80-minute classes or 4 60-minute classes. The next one is the middle school. Current enrollment in 7th and 8th grade is 203. The number of meetings per week, classes meet 2 to 3 times per week, depending upon which color starts a 5-day week, blue or gray. A copy of the bell schedule is linked here. And here it is. Okay. Let me go back. Class sizes. The average class size in 7th grade core classes, which is English, math, social studies, science, and STEM, is 20. The average class size for 8th grade core classes, again, English, math, social studies, science, and STEM, is 20.2. The average class size in unified arts classes varies widely based upon the class, with the smallest being consumer wellness, 8th grade with 17 students. The class is capped at 18 students, while the largest unified arts is band, which currently has 42 students enrolled in it. Well, with all other unified art classes include arts, general music, chorus, Spanish, French, physical education, and work study practices have classes sizes varying from 19 chorus to 28 wellness 8th grade. The number of minutes per class on a regular basis, blue gray days, students spend 80 minutes per core class and 60 minutes per unified arts class. On early release days, which is Wednesday, students spend 60 minutes per core class and 30 minutes for each unified arts class. The amount of time spent in class per week, when a core class meets 3 times a week and there are no early release days, the class meets for 240 minutes, which is 3 times 80 minutes or 4 hours. If it meets 3 times a week and there is an early release day, then the class meets for 220 minutes or 3.66 hours. If a class meets 2 times a week, then the class meets for 160 minutes, 2 times 80 minutes or 2.66 hours. The next question is IT subscriptions. The question is, has an analysis been completed to determine which IT subscriptions, fees, and memberships are obsolete, underutilized, and or duplicated elsewhere? If so, what kind of efficiencies are anticipated for the next fiscal year? If not, what kind of priority has long been outstanding? What kind of priority has this long outstanding deliverable been given? The answer is, we have always and continually will analyze online resources for alignment to our curriculum, usage, and cost. Any efficiencies in the budget development was realized during the creation of the budget for the current fiscal year. We anticipate providing a list of our anticipated needs with the proposed budget. Please note that many textbooks have been replaced by digital subscriptions and are used on an ongoing basis. The next question is the athletic department budget assessment. Has the needs assessment been completed to determine more accurate reporting for the long aloof athletics department budget? If so, what kind of efficiencies are forecasted for the next fiscal year? If not, what kind of priority has this long outstanding deliverable been given? Due to challenges presented by the ongoing pandemic and ripple effects felt in terms like transportation, including the previously unheard of use of more expensive coach buses and game management, additional staff is required to supervise players and fans alike to assure masking and distancing. The budget for next fiscal year or longer will be difficult to plan for and possibly adhere to as strictly as one might like. The athletic department plans to complete an inventory of all uniforms and equipment to develop a replacement cycle for both items, which make up a significant portion of the potential flexible portion of the budget. The demand for additional teams may also put pressure on the budget moving forward. Okay, and that's it.
A question, this wasn't my question, so I'm not sure, but I know that both the IT and the athletics and special ed were all supposed to have audits done last year, and because of COVID, they were put off. I think these two questions, and there should be one also on special ed. What's the status of that audit of those departments?
Right now, we're continually analyzing these departments. Okay. I know what you mean, Annie, but I don't have a good answer for you on that.
Okay, that would be good to find out, Matt, because it is something that's been promised for a couple of years. And I certainly know that, I think we all understand that COVID caused some difficulties and it might still have some ongoing ones because of all the variants and stuff. But we just need to kind of understand what's happening and what the plans are to prioritize really looking into these.
All right. So
I
that-
believe an athletic kind of cost per athlete for different sports was something that was being looked at. It'd just be great to have that information.
So let me just kind of quickly talk about special education and IT. None of that was in the questions here. Okay. So I can't speak other than just the IT subscriptions. Okay. And I know IT subscriptions, I made sure that the line item was adjusted last year and completely thoroughly reviewed. So I'm confident that that we are experiencing the efficiencies in this fiscal year. The other items that you're speaking about, again, like athletic department, we have some unusual times right now. That one's going to be a difficult one to really gauge. Like for me, heating oil is going to be a difficult one to gauge for this coming year because I'm seeing pressure on buying oil. And the days of me buying heating oil at $1.55, I think are long gone. Okay. So with the unknowns for athletics, I can't see how we can do an audit, a good, clear audit. And also with the unknowns in special education, I can't see how we can do a good, clear audit either.
So I guess it would give me comfort, and perhaps whoever asked that question comfort, to just know that those things are still in the plans for the future as soon as COVID kind of gives opportunity for some clarity. So it'd just be good not to lose sight of them. That's all.
Okay.
Done, Matt?
I'm all set.
Any further
Thank you.
questions?
All right.
All right. Oh, sorry, Cheryl.
Just a question about the procedure. Obviously, we haven't had time to look at all the details of these links. So are we going to, once we get to see those, have an opportunity to ask questions about those, or is this the end of the question?
No, there's a follow-up to the questions on these on the calendar. So October 20th, 5 p.m. deadline for all budget questions, following up questions due to the chair for submission to the administration.
Thank you.
Oh, I do have one final comment. Those questions were great. Thank you, everybody. Those were really super questions. Okay.
Yep.
This is Annie. Can I say something, Mr. Chair? Matt, I want to thank you for the thoroughness with all the links and all that kind of thing. There's good information there for us to really look at. And I think you really addressed them very thoroughly, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
I'd agree. That's
Yeah,
really
those,
good. I think we can further answer some of our questions that we would have by being able to click on those links.
Yep.
That's great.
I think that was an excellent presentation to us. And,
Okay, great.
Great way to communicate with that.
Thank you.
All right, so that's done for the evening, and we are on to the next part of the agenda, which is review the budget committee guidelines.
So
And
Matt's going to get driven home now.
Works on all these spreadsheets.
yeah. Sorry, I didn't.
That's when you're working on all the spreadsheets.
Oh, driving
Drive,
home.
right?
Drive safely.
Thank you.
I know it's a long drive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to see you looking well too, Matt.
Thank you very much.
All right, so the first year that I was on the budget committee, we ended up doing a review of the budget committee guidelines, and I did that with Cheryl and Jim Doggett, and we came up with a couple changes on a couple of things. And I'm asking, this was supposed to be reviewed last year as well. But due to the COVID situation, it kind of got sidestepped, it's just totally left to the side. So for this year, two issues that have come up from last year, I would like to concentrate on outside of looking at all the other guidelines. And the first one is regarding the timeline for budget committee members who are involved with selecting a replacement for a seat upon open due to a resignation. And we had that last year. That was executed for the town of Kingston. And when that whole thing kicked off, I myself was like walking on eggshells about how that was going to go and how smooth it was going to proceed, because the two members that were involved with it are basically pretty new to the whole procedure and everything. And I think it went pretty well, except for the questions of between those two members and myself, of who is doing what when. And it was really not all that clear who was responsible for putting the advertisement in the paper, who was handling the stuff on Facebook, and who was putting whatever up on town hall, which didn't happen that time. It previously happened, but the meeting information was not put up on town hall because of COVID this year, or last year, sorry. And then that led to the next portion of it, which comes to how we announce the newly appointed member of the board, of the committee, I mean. And I did not pay much attention to how that was announced, but Mary did point out to me that she was only aware of it because she watched the video. And then when she came in, Cheryl was here, and I didn't make a general announcement to anybody about it because it didn't dawn on me to. So that kind of falls on me, but I think that should be one of the steps, and the final step, that is a check mark on the list of steps for people doing the next appointment to the open position. So with all that said,
May I add to that?
please do. Yeah.
And I'm trying to recall, but after that all transpired, and it seemed to go very smoothly, the interviews and the selection process, the announcement, like I said, I was kind of caught off guard. I thought Cheryl, I didn't know why she was here. She just showed up. I didn't even know she was a candidate. But when the minutes from the subcommittee came out,
Yeah.
there was a breach in the RSA. They're required, and I sent you an email saying,
Yep.
please let them know they need to change their minutes.
Yep.
Because by law, they have to announce anyone who appeared before them. So they have to give the names of the candidates who appeared before them, as well as a selection. And what they said was so many candidates came before us, and we selected this one.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that we're following the RSA, and this process is driven largely by RSA.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Um,
I went back and reviewed that and.
Well, no,
saw
the
it.
entire process about
Yep.
the timing of when it gets posted and, how long it stays up for, how long you can solicit the applications and so forth. So we don't need to necessarily reinvent the wheel so much as we need to adhere to the law.
Yeah, we need, so we gotta take that law and give it, make a check sheet for ourselves to make sure that we're going right along with it. It
I
wasn't
never
there
went back to,
before.
I never went back to check where the subcommittee minutes.
I did
I did.
update them. I updated them, sent them back to Rick and Vanessa, and they both
They got
approved them.
posted.
And then, yep, then they were
Thank you.
redone. Yep, yeah.
COVID.
And when you, Cheryl, and I interviewed for a resignation, I think there was a different issue, but I feel like in terms of the posting and everything, I thought Phyllis kind of did everything.
I went to Phyllis when I was involved in that one.
Right. And
Yeah.
Phyllis sort of guided us to whatever to do, right? Or did you tell her this? is what
I
it is?
went to the post office, I went to the library, and I asked Phyllis to post it on the website.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we should spell that out.
Yeah, so,
The
I
subcommittee.
think everything, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It should really be spelled out, like not just posted to town hall, but like who's going to? Is it a budget committee member? The subcommittee needs to do it, or Phyllis does it, like, right? Because especially if you're going to be having new people,
You need to be
I don't know
prepared for
if I want to say
turnover.
necessarily
Yeah.
constantly,
Yeah.
but I can see that it's a new person each time. I was lucky when I was on the subcommittee a couple of years ago that I was with two veterans who knew a lot more than I did about what was going on. So
yep, yeah.
I can see that.
So are you looking for volunteers
Yes.
for subcommittee?
I was looking for
review?
volunteers for the subcommittee to go through the review and revamp the budget committee guidelines. Volunteers. Cheryl?
Before that, I'm looking at the one that's on the shared drive.
The
Uh,
guidelines?
Yeah,
Okay.
I might not be looking at the right one.
Copy of PC guidelines.
Where is that?
That's in the shared folder, planning fiscal year 2022 to 2023.
Okay. I might be looking at the. wrong
There's
one.
actually two of them in there. There's one that is the, if you, last modified, if you re-click your last modified in the upper column over the dates.
Yeah.
You'll have, at the bottom, you'll see BC guidelines PDF, April 11th, 2021.
What folder am I in?
Should be the shared drives,
Yep,
budget committee.
planning for FY
Yep,
2022, 23.
yep.
Copy of BC guidelines. Okay. Okay, thank you. I was looking at the prior one and I thought we had updated it since then. So, okay, thank you.
Now, this is from when you, Jim, and I did the review.
This is the one I'm looking at was updated December 2019.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So Maury, your question came up about who's going to do what, as far as putting out any announcements at whatever location. Any budget committee member can do the legwork to put up any postings at any time. The people that are required to do a specific job at a specific time are the chair, vice chair, and the people that are doing the interviews for that particular town.
It's okay. So it's not Phyllis. And maybe because maybe because Mary did so much of it, I felt like, I just felt like Phyllis was kind of directing us what way to go, but
And there's
maybe
nothing
it was
wrong with
really,
that.
maybe Mary,
Well,
you did more than I realized that you did.
She does play a role, but that's what we got to define.
Well,
Is that she puts it up on the SAU website, she puts it into the newspaper, she puts it into Indeed and any of the search engines.
Right.
And then I don't know if we could ask, hey, is there anybody that's going to the post office that can put this at the post office? That kind of stuff.
Could we, Jim, just have a checklist of things that need to be considered by the subcommittee chair, regardless of what,
Yeah.
the
Right.
circumstance, so that the subcommittee members can say, we need to check these boxes.
Yeah.
There's no set rhyme or reason as to who needs to do it, but someone is responsible for getting it done.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether they delegate to Phyllis or,
Yeah.
it depends.
Well, putting it up on the website, only Phyllis or admin.
Correct.
can do that.
But I'm just saying, she might be perfectly, I think she offered to do it and I said, don't bother, I'm free, I'll go do it. So I did it. So does that complicate things or does it leave a, wiggle room for just making sure it gets done?
I get the bottom line is you're in charge of it. You checked off the box. You can delegate, you do it however you want, but you need to check the box.
So
off.
we need to have the check boxes defined, I guess is what.
Yeah,
Yes,
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 that's
I
what I'm
agree.
getting at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like you two want to be on the committee.
So looking for volunteers for that.
Sorry, I'm already got on other committees.
Yeah.
Well, I am the at-large member and I am no longer allowed to participate in the actual deliberations. So I think I'd be happy to contribute in this way. How's that?
That's a good answer.
That's great.
All right, so
By the way, I think it's one of the things we discussed way back was when we did these was the importance of just referring to the RSA in our guidelines because the RSA could change.
Right.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I know that it's been asked to clarify what is the role of the member at large because it's really not defined in the RSA at all.
It's
Yeah.
very opaque.
yep, that
Yeah.
keeps kicking down the road.
So I think it's important to leave it as referring to, the RSA. That way we don't have to change it if it changes.
Sure. Okay, may I have a second volunteer? Crickets.
I will do it if nobody else does.
Okay,
I feel like I would like to give someone else a chance since I've done this twice already, but if nobody else
All right.
volunteers,
So
I
we're talking
will.
about putting together a checklist for
Yeah.
a process
It should
that's
be-
already
should be-
established.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah.
It's an established process and we're just taking it and putting it on a checklist.
yeah, following along. with
Just
that.
I can help with that. That seems.
Okay, Mary and Rick.
It should be like a 15-minute meeting.
And then, all right, so any further questions on going through that? Who's doing it? Okay, we good? All right, so do we need a vote for this?
No.
We're not
I didn't-
changing anything.
I didn't remember if we changed, I didn't remember if we voted on it back in 2019. All right.
No.
So then now I need volunteers to select a new recording secretary. I received a bunch of. You got
That
out of
is
the
so
outline.
interesting.
I got the easy-
This is a long time ago.
I was reviewing them, and then I ended up coming down with COVID
Oh, no.
and had to deal with that. I mean, I'm not using that for as an excuse or anything, but the main reason why I held off on pursuing it was because the time between when obviously we knew that we needed the secretary and the time that it would become effective, like today, would be a long time. And I didn't want to go through the procedure and have somebody in mind or have somebody lined up and then have them step out. This is exactly why I did not pursue it. I started Friday calling. No, I didn't call anybody. I wanted to leave the privacy out of it. I emailed them and I got a response by 3 people. One woman who sounded very lovely and right for the job. She feels that it would be too much to add to her current work schedule. Another woman who I sent her the copy of the calendar and a basic description of what was going on, and I have not heard back from her. And I'm still in communications with another candidate, And I have not heard back from her. The last time I heard from her was last evening. And I replied to her last. So we still have two possible opportunities to interview. I don't know how I don't have a feel for
Mhm.
either one of them. But
Can you tell us now what names? Because we have the list of them. We have the,
yes, I can.
Can we do we see that publicly though?
Annie?
I don't know.
I don't know. I was thinking about that earlier today.
I think
and
it should be
kinda-
whoever's on a subcommittee you can
I
relate.
think maybe it would be better not to discuss publicly who they are. And then when we have minutes and say who was interviewed and who was chosen, if that's something that has to be done, like it is with the vacancy, I don't know. We need to check and see what we have to say.
Yeah, I was kind of not gonna bring that up because I didn't want to say somebody's name and then have their current employer go, hey, what are you doing?
Right.
You're
Yeah.
signing up to go work for SAU on Thursday nights, possible Wednesday nights. And we'll just say that they're, a night manager at a supermarket or something. And I wanted you to work that night. You blew me off. I went and rearranged my supermarket schedule for a school district that you don't even have kids in or something, just whatever kind of fight somebody could pick.
So what's involved
It's
in
a
this
pretty well
committee?
thought out example.
It is, it just hit me.
That's a good one.
What is the committee? Are these phone interviews or are these in-person interviews or what is?
It would just be we would review the applications, turn around and say that we are interested in these applicants. We contact them just like I had, but I had contacted all of them. So I wasn't making a decision. I was just going through all the
Pre-screen.
application, pre-screen to see who's still interested is exactly what it was.
You've
And
already done that.
I have, yes.
So right now, what stage are we at right now? Right now, you've narrowed it down to 2 people?
Yes.
Okay. So somebody just needs to review the resumes and give you our input of, we think this is the right person, or is that the next step?
You were involved with that, weren't you? No, it was Mary and Annie.
No, Jim Mary and I, Jim Doggett and Mary and I did it. And
Yeah.
we just went by the resumes and writing samples that they gave us. We didn't, we didn't call them in for interviews for something that's going to be, not very much time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was under the impression that there was an actual interview that went on.
No, we
Oh.
didn't do that. Did we, Mary?
No, I think we were happy to have interest and a pulse.
I think we had a couple of candidates and we just agreed that Judy seemed like the best one. She certainly did a good job. And,
Great.
I would think just somebody giving a second eye to what you're looking at and seeing if you can just come up with a consensus view of somebody to offer the job to.
All right.
Would be sufficient. I don't think, it's not like hiring a school teacher.
Not interview Judy, but we did call her as a subcommittee and extend the offer.
Right.
Okay, so you're all up, Cheryl?
so, let me just make sure I have this straight. You've called everyone,
I
Two.
emailed everybody.
you emailed, 2 have responded that they're still interested.
3 had responded, one is out, so I'm down to 2. And out of those 2, I still don't know if they're interested in taking it.
So I'm wondering at this point if we should consider advertising this again.
Posting it again.
But hasn't this always been a problem though?
Yeah.
I think if we can get one of those 2, unless the resume is,
I have,
unless they're just like not great resumes.
Did I mention the pulse?
Well,
Well-
exactly. I mean, if we can, the sooner we can grab them, the better too, the longer. I understand your thought process and waiting. I mean,
I could,
just last night, the school board decided to increase the pay for the substitute teachers because you can't get people. So
Again,
if we, again, for a second time. So if we can get if one of those two works, I think that my opinion would be to go with one of those two people, unless there's something, a red flag or something. I don't think reposting it, we're gonna
Well,
get something better.
I work off a platform online
Mhm.
where people post jobs and you do the work remotely
Mhm.
for whoever. And they have everything from hand sketches. You know, I want a caricature done of this picture. So you got people that draw caricatures and they'll mail the picture to you in a tube and stuff like that, all the way up to attorneys at $125 to whatever you want to pay them an hour. And so you got all the talent in the world between them and all the talent all over the world. Literally, I could go home tonight and have somebody, I could put the job out there and I could have 30 applicants. I could have West Coast applicants, East Coast applicants. I could have people from Massachusetts, but the thing is they'll be doing all video. They'll sit there and watch it and write everything out.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's a recording secretary that wouldn't necessarily be here. in the
Correct.
building.
Yes. It would be a recording secretary that is remote all the time.
My thought would be, sometimes we have the mic issues. Would they be able to jump in and say something, like, are they doing it live? Because the other thing too is, once we put the masks, if we end up putting masks back on, I know there's been a couple of times Phyllis has been like, I can't see who's motioning. So she's had to stop us as we've gone
Mhm.
to say, I didn't get that. Who did that? So I personally think the two live people, I think that might be a good option if we can't get one of these two people, but
Okay. So, nobody
I'll
is.
volunteer if you want a second eye.
if I wanna-
If you guys,
Oh, a
I'm just-
second eye.
I'll
Right.
throw this out there. If you're looking for somebody else, and if everyone's okay with, we got these two resumes, we
Sure.
have two people who have responded. I'm happy to take a look at the resume and
Sure. Okay.
we can go from there. If
And this is
I don't
Annie. I'm willing to as well.
what's that?
I'm willing to as well.
Okay.
Sold.
So that'd give us 3, which is fine.
I think we're making a bigger deal of this.
I think so. Yeah, we have 2 people that are interested. Let's pick one. Is
Right.
that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I gotta figure out, I gotta confirm that they're both still interested in it, you know, because they got the schedules and one of them got the schedule and they were like, oh, I can't help you because it's, too much on me.
Do you want to stack rank them, 1 and 2, before you make the phone call? So if the first one falls through, you're gonna go with number 2?
Well, yeah, I would agree with that, but it should Annie and I look at them before should we rank them first? Again, I think we're making this much harder than it needs to be.
I'm just trying to make it more efficient,
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
understand.
No, I understand.
rather
what you're
than
saying.
meet and review them.
Can you send, are we allowed, can you send Annie and I, the two people who've narrowed it down to, we can review it and we can say, hey, Jim, we think you should go with number 1, or you should go with number 2.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, you sent
Okay.
these, did you
Yep.
send these through email?
I
to
feel
us,
like I've
or
seen
just
them at
put it
some
on
point.
the
I feel like I
drive?
saw a whole bunch of resumes. a while
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, we
Yeah.
have them, but I don't know, can you
Mm.
send, because we're talking about confidentiality. Should we be sending these through email? People's names, I don't remember.
Oh, we
How
can
did
send
we
them
get
through.
Yeah,
this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we're
okay.
just not putting it out and,
Okay,
I don't want to get
Expect
an
to be-
employer all poppy on somebody.
yeah, no.
And hopefully we'll have the position filled for our next meeting.
So that's the plan.
All right. So Annie and I are going to help you.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
So the timeline is, you want to get this done before the next meeting.
Yeah. So this is Annie, Maura, and Cheryl.
No, you.
Just the 3 of us. Yeah. I don't think we need any more.
No.
No, right. Okay.
I just have questions. I didn't volunteer to be on the committee.
My husband's a VP of HR. We could get him on it.
I did HR as well if you needed someone else.
Okay, I'll back out. I thought. Didn't seem like anybody-
Yeah,
Everybody was trying to run away from
yeah.
it.
So what's everybody else's work? here?
Maura, I know you really, really wanted to do it.
I was trying to move the process along.
All right,
So Annie, Christine.
you're welcome.
It became pretty easy when it was.
Throwing Steve under
It's
the
a
bus and we got
resume.
Christine over here.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
The next meeting is the 28th.
No
We
public.
get checked from our public.
I'm sorry, what?
The public, it's public comment.
Oh.
No,
Yeah.
nobody?
All right. So, all right, that's all set. We've got Annie, Christine, and me for the secretary. Public comment.
What's that?
It's a public comment.
Oh,
Any-
yeah.
There being none,
There being none, that's done. Committee comments.
I will.
Mary.
Annie, I should have said this earlier. Those last two questions about the audits were for me. Thank you for expounding and adding the special ed thing. I had overlooked that one, but your questions were exactly spot on with what my intent was. These were things that have been promised, things that we've asked for in the prior administration even. And they've been kind of shuffled along. So I think we need to push these guys for some closure on those issues, just to at least get them in a box, because right now you can't even get a lasso around them as far as trying to itemize and get a concise picture of how those budget items fall into place. So thank you.
Well, thank you for asking, because I know I'd kind of forgotten about those audits and, that was good.
Actually, I hadn't, and I'm glad that they did come up. But I do remember how they got blown off on. It was, we're concentrating more on getting the schools consolidated, and then it was COVID. And now this is the third time we're at it. So
Correct.
I don't see anything
I think
by
this
the,
is, I think this is my 4th or 5th year, and every year we've asked. So,
It's my 7th year and it's been.
So-
Yeah.
okay. Anyone else? All right. So the next meeting is Thursday, October 28th, the high school, and that is if required based on the questions that came up after the information we were just given tonight from Matt.
so we won't meet if there aren't further questions,
Correct.
even
And
if,
so you'll let us know after the deadline for those questions, whether we have a meeting, whether we have questions or not, and whether there will be a meeting.
Correct. If there are no questions, there will be no meeting. If there's 1 or 2 or 3 questions and they come up with some fairly simple answers, do you think we're going to want to have a meeting, or would be good with an email with links to it, like Matt sent us this evening?
I'd be good with an email.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know I don't think we need to have another meeting for 3 questions, because the next meeting after that is when the superintendent presents the budget with the school board joint, which is, if I'm correct, which is the following week, which is November 3rd.
Yeah.
So just a couple of days later, we're going to be getting presented with the budget. So I'm
Yep.
not, I don't need to have a meeting to have a meeting.
Annie?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have one comment to make. Is it okay still?
Sure.
Okay. One of the things that as a budget committee member, and I'm sure each one of us as budget committee members, this is a concern, is to have our money spent smart for the best outcomes for kids. And it's been an ongoing just concern of mine, as well as probably all of us, with the test results and stuff like that. And we've gone through periods of time where administrators said, oh, test scores don't matter, to, outcomes aren't important, to the kids are, just not able to do that well. We have finally, I don't know if any of you have been listening to the ISA meetings or been listening to the school board meeting last night, where Mr. Stack talked about how there's going to be increased seat time now for English and math and in the high school. And we've got some things going for, we've got a new math program. They're looking at a new math program for 7 through 12. We're actually moving in some directions. And one of the big key points that Mr. Stack talked about was accountability and measuring outcomes and making adjustments if outcomes don't come out the way that they're supposed to, what they're designed to do. And I, for one, am extremely relieved after seeing this and seeing some of these kids graduate without being properly served. And I'm just so grateful to our school board and administration that they are really working on spending the money in a really smart way and getting better outcomes for kids. So I'm hoping that that'll be the case and continue to go, but I just wanted to kind of put out some kudos there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.